So why is fuel our default mindset? Why do we think in fuel? There's a number of different reasons and explanations, but one of the ones that we uncover in the book and talk about quite a bit is that people tend to view things through the lens of their own experience. They look at the situational causes through their own perspective and ignore all of the environmental factors at play. Think about this. The last time you drove on the highway or the freeway and you saw cars speeding and dodging in and out of lanes of traffic, what did you think to yourself when you saw that? Chances are you probably thought that person is either impaired in some way chemically or that person's a jerk. And that's usually our default mindset, is to assume that there's something wrong with that other person, when in fact the real reason they may have been doing it is because they're an EMT rushing to the site of an emergency, or they've really got to use the bathroom. We tend to look at things through our own projected experience instead of considering the experience of others, and that tends to make fuel the way that we look at the world because it's where we feel like we have the ability to affect change. If I only add another feature, if I only add another benefit, if I only drop the price or raise the price, I will be able to control the situation. When in fact, the forces of friction, which tend to be a little bit further outside of our control, rarely enter our calculus. Inside of those forces of friction, there are four primary areas we want to focus. And the four areas of friction that we're going to dive into answer the following question. Number one, does the idea represent a major break from the status quo? Does it ask people to change radically what they're doing today in order to make the progress that they seek? Have they had time to acclimatize to the idea, or does it happen in one big step? The answer to this question helps us estimate the amount of inertia present in a particular change. What is the cost of implementation? How much physical, mental, or economic exertion does it require to implement the change? Do people know how to implement the desired behavior or change, or is the path ambiguous? The answer to this question and the magnitude of the answer of this question helps us determine the amount of effort present in a change. What negative feelings might this new idea create and produce in others? To what extent might people feel threatened or anxious about the change? And does the innovation have the potential to undermine people's broader needs? The answer to this question helps us understand the amount of emotional friction present in a given change. And finally, does the audience feel pressured to change? Do they feel that change is being forced upon them, or do they feel like they're participating in creating that change themselves? Were they included in the design process, or were they excluded from the design process? The answer to these questions helps us estimate the amount of reactance present. And these four frictions are always, to some extent or another, present anytime we're asking somebody to make a change, adopt an innovation, or do something new. And in a moment, we're going to show you how these frictions work in action by talking you through a story about a real change with a real startup that came out of the Kellogg School of Management.